which is that.
Hi, okay, this is Nick Ray Ball with Liam and Thomas, my two testers of the theory. I'm going to get straight into it because there are other videos that give the background. Thomas
Sure.
and Liam, can you go up to the top of the homepage
Yeah.
and you should see towards the bottom right of it, or middle right, a red square that says revenue and savings.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's just very, very basic. And I'm trying to work out where I'm making a mistake. And of course, I would love to not make a mistake. But mistakes happen. Okay. So don't get your head all confused by the billions. Think of it instead of that's more like 6 million. It's just an easier figures to use. But I will use the correct figures because that's what they are. Okay, so saying basically this development, this property development that has got industry and real estate and all that goes with that, has an investment of $6.317 billion in 2024. Okay, we don't need to worry about where that comes from. We just got to know that it is. Now, if you see next to it, we've got E, 90%. And we've got a little apostrophe above the E, which makes it stand out in a sentence. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're saying in that year, that 6.3 billion, 90% of it has been spent on other companies in the same network. So I am buying from you. You are buying from another person in the network. They are buying from another person in the network, and they are buying from me. Or there's many, many ways to spin that. So bottom line is 6.3 billion times 90%, because 10% is leakage. There has to, you need, certainly in the beginning, to be able to buy things for cash. Although we don't want to buy for cash. That's a last resort, and it's generally mostly used for paying personnel. Okay, so out of that 6.3 billion, 90% of it has been returned to the network. So that's 5.68 billion. And simply enough, at the end of the year, that 5.68 billion is still in the network's bank. Yeah?
Yeah.
Simple. But okay, so what we do next is we're going to go down, please. Scroll down and you'll go past a lot of dark lines. You'll see it, and then you'll start to come to year's cash flow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's year's cash flow. That is the figure that has been is added up from above. There's only one figure there, so it's not adding up anything. It's just showing that figure. Don't worry about the CFV, but I will tell you quickly what it is. In macroeconomics, it's very easy to confuse the items that come to make something and the thing that has been made, i.e. all the materials in a house and the price of the house. So you calculate all the materials, how much they sold for, and you calculate the price of the house, how much that sold for, and it's double what actually is. So here I've just put a 50%, so as that sort of macroeconomic rule is mitigated. Okay, but that's sort of a bypass, a side part. Right. Okay. Let's just carry down a little bit until you get to that row that in light blue that says savings, LCR, 5.6. It's row 64.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay, that has taken a copy of the cash flow at the end of the year that went over the year and is available the next year. So if we see from that place there, column P64, that is taken down to row 89 and column L. It's just added there.
Okay.
Column L 89.
69.
89.
89.
5.68. 89L. 89L. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. LCR.
Okay. That, now we go to the left a little bit, and let's just go straight to that grand total.
So left on row
D90. D90.
D90, okay. Just one sec, sorry.
Okay, so,
So D.
Yeah, 8.56 billion.
9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, great. Can you put the cursor in the formula bar so as you see what that adds up? Is that simple? It's a lot simpler for me to probably say.
Yeah. So we have D78.
There we go. Okay, so we can see them there. Let's start with D78. Now,
Yeah.
that is a token figure for trade. It is such a small figure that it doesn't, in macroeconomics, it's nothing. It's just a token figure. So as there was something there. So there's basically no trade in this model. We're not making any money from trade. Underneath that, starting at 79 and going down to 83, there is 275 million in property sales. Now, if I took that out, if I took that 275 million out, it would change the entire math by about 10%. We would make 10% less money, i.e. instead of 24 trillion, it would be, 22 trillion, something like that. So yeah. It's not a huge amount. It's not a huge amount to worry about. So trade, we don't have any trade. Real estate sold, we've put a figure in, but we're saying if we don't get that, we can still operate. We just make 10% less, which is still an awful lot of money. Let's go up to L72. This is the big one. L72. 1.102.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a suburb sale. Instead of selling real estate, in general, want to sell towns and cities or suburbs within towns. So that might be Microsoft suburb, or it might be Yale University suburb, because the Yale University guy is apparently the best in the world at this, and now that I've said it on the video, I hope he watches it. Yeah, so anyway, that's the suburb sale. Someone has bought a suburb off of the collection of companies. And this is really where all the money comes from in this particular projection / what I call it a history. I won't get into the reasons why. So you can, bash it about as much as one wants, but as long as that suburb figure is right, as long as I can get $1 billion for selling a part of a city to one of the big companies in the world, or one of the big countries in the world, or even one of the small countries in the world, as long as that money comes along, these figures are all fine. So if we look at what we've had, which is that city sale, which is the bulk, there's the LCR, which is that 5.6 billion that was saved from the year before. There's the trade, which is basically null. There is the real estate, which counts for 10%. There is an aid figure. I'm not going to get into. There's a lot of books one can read about why we would get that aid if we had a successful model, as we're seeing. And that all adds up to that red figure, that 8.5. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
That grand total then skips up to N70, and you can see it in red.
N70. Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay, and now we're back where we were before. Remember where we started at this place in the first year?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's 2025.
This is 2025, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we're now taking our 8.5 billion and we've moved E up to 91 this time.
Okay.
And we're multiplying that 8.5 by 91. We've got a leakage of 9%. That is getting paid out in cash to employees, etc., etc. But 91% of all that money is spent with other companies within the same network. We're talking probably, if we look down, 4,096 companies with approximately 32 people each, if you want to have a little breakdown of what that's actually doing. But that's not important. The important thing is that we now use spin. Okay, so that 8.5, that is in the network bank. And 91% of it is sold to other companies in the same network. And that money stays in the network bank, but the 9% is discarded. But we made more than we lost, so it's increasing. But the thing we do, if you look slightly to the right of that red, where we've got days 191, spend by the 11th of July.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing now is we're just starting the process. Or instead of spending that money in a year, we're spending it in half a year.
Okay.
Money is basically spent on supplies and labour. Labour and supplies make more of what they make. That gets sold, etc., etc. And it happens all once before the 11th of July. And because that money's still in the bank and there's no restriction on time, per se, there's no reason why we can't spend that money again.
In the same year.
In the same year, the second half of the year. But it's not 8.5, it's that 7.7 figure you see there.
Okay. What you get from the 91%. Yeah.
Just below the red 8.5 is a blue 7.7. That is the second. That is the spin. It's all been spent once, and now it's the 11th of July, and they're spending all that again. And it goes for the same principle. 91% of it is spent on other companies in the same network. And the more companies there are, the easier that is to do. And if you only have about 60 companies, you can do it. And this exercise, we got theoretically 4,096. Okay, so that second spend is spent, and it's all spent by the end of the year. So that money has been spent twice. Now, can you get your the cursor on the P column and just go down the P column, down to the bottom of P? Well, not to the bottom of P, down to 100. P103. That's what we're looking for. P103.
14.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it, really. I just do it again and again and again.
Yeah. Up to
next time. Next year, it's spent 3 times. Year after that, 4 times.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'll just take you through that because it becomes easier when you get a little bit used to it. But are we seeing any mistakes anywhere?
Not at the moment. Not the strategy, no.
Awesome. Okay, so let's carry on down. Let's just
not really. Go on. Yeah.
Carry on down the P. Let's just have a quick look at that. Because if you notice that 14, you see we've got that estimated GDP is 7.4. Okay? That is exactly half of the cash flow. And it's taken in that rule of the cash flow variable. So it's decreased the cash flow. And what I'm saying basically is roughly the GDP is going to be half of what the cash flow is. we're not going to worry about government spending or Labour spending in this video. We're just going to get to that P113, and that's now 7 billion. Yeah, can you see that one?
Yeah.
That's what's left at the end of the year again, and it gets copied over to the following year because it's still in the bank. So again, that copies down, and left a bit to L138. L138.
Okay.
Okay. And now let's just go left. I'm sorry, that's this is one of the reasons why it's such a powerful model, because of the savings. I call it savings. I was actually a reversing theory of one of Hawking's, so I'm quite proud of it. But if we can just go to the left a bit, and the red again, the grand total, and we can see it's now gone up to 10.5. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
2026.
So again, that copies over to N119. So it's at the beginning of what I call the rest calculator again. N119 is a copy of the grand total. And then we get to spend, but this time we're spinning 3 times in a year.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so N119, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so N119 times 92 makes 9.7 in spending that has been spent on other companies in the same network. And that is now done by the 12th of May. Then the balance that is in cash in the bank. This is in cash in the bank. There's no lending of any sort. But the software runs the financial side of all the businesses. So that's how it managed. That's a very important part of it, basically. If you didn't have the software to do that, or plan to make it, you'd be in trouble. But okay, so let's go for the second spin in the year. So that's 9.7 billion, just below the red 10, is again times by 92%, making 8.9 on the second spin, and that is spent before the 11th of September. Then we spin it again, so we're now at N121 with that 8.9 times by 92%, 8.2 by the end of the year, and again down the P, down the column P, down the column P, and this year we see 26 billion.
Yeah.
So we've gone up from, what was it, about 8 to about 17 to 26, and now the GDP is more than was initially put in. GDP is now 13.4, and it basically does that again and again, going up to 32 different spins in a year. And the thing is, with the more spins you have, the higher that E has to be. And when that E hits 100%, it is an absolute perfect monopoly. There is no money escaping if E is 90, if E is 100%. And that's probably why it's so powerful. I'm not gonna. I think I've made the point that I wanted to make to you guys, that I can't see where I've made an error here.
Yeah. I suppose it's something we need to look at again.
I think I've enticed you a little bit, so I think let's just leave it here with this spreadsheet, shall we? I mean, I wanted to see if there was anything that anyone could see that was immediately like, but we've done okay. Okay, I'm gonna say goodbye to the video recording, and thanks ever so much, guys, for
thanks, Nick.
me through this. Really appreciate it.